April, and I finally got round to putting the video clips together that I took whilst I was down there. I just want to say a big thanks to Dave Moore, who puts these trips together, and we get to go and fish on fantastic venues across Europe with him, and big thanks, Dave, thank you very much. It was a great trip. We had a lot of fun, and a lot of carp were caught. Myself, I didn't have another real big fish this time, but I did manage over 40 carp and a couple of 50 pounders, and yeah, great action throughout the trip, so I really enjoyed that. And everybody that was there, I think it was 10 of us all together, everybody caught, and there were quite a lot of 50 pounders spread around the lake, so everybody got a decent fish in there now. Dave Moore led the way, which is typical. If you know Dave, he managed to catch two 66-pound commons, a 75-pound common, and a massive 83-pound common. So fair play to you, Dave, doing what you normally do, but yeah, fantastic result. Yeah, and yeah, I'll put these clips together for you to have a look at, and hope you enjoy it, and see you next time. Well, that's the first leg of the journey out the way. We're down in the south of Germany now, on our way to Lake Sumbar. We stop in a nice hotel here overnight, and this little carp pond's just outside our hotel. Been a good journey down, nice and steady, and we've stopped in this lovely little village just off the motorway, and that's where we're stopping for the night, up in there. Do a nice bit of food here as well. But yeah, looking forward to getting to the lake on Sunday morning. We're going to stop in a hotel not far, 20 minutes from the lake, when we get down in Croatia tomorrow. And yeah, all good so far. Looking forward to getting to that fishing though. That was an epic journey, but here we are now, just 15 minutes from the lake, down in Croatia, just outside the town of Karlovac. Nice hotel, very nice. So we're going to have a nice pleasant, let's get a bit of daylight in, nice pleasant stay here overnight, and my old van down there, and the boys were with. But yeah, this is a bit of me. Nice relaxing overnight stay in this hotel. We had to go down and get ourselves a nice bit of food, and fully freshened up and ready to go for our fishing, which starts tomorrow. Good to be down here. It's a long old journey. We actually left on Thursday afternoon, got the ferry from Harwich to Holland, drove down through Holland, stayed down in the south of Germany, and obviously then a drive down through Austria, Slovenia, and eventually into Croatia. We took our time and had plenty of stops, plenty of breaks. Yeah, it's been really good. We've got some great weather out there too, but looking forward to getting fishing. We'll see you down the lake tomorrow. What a beautiful morning down here at Sumbar in Croatia. Just done the draw. There's 10 of us on this week fishing. We're all nicely spread out. I come out in the middle, but had a couple of swims I would like to have got into, and I managed to get my second choice, which is Peg 27, for those of you that know this place, and it's looking beautiful. Last year when we come, it was there was a lot of snow still about, and much colder. The weather leading up to this trip has been significantly warmer, so hopefully the benefit from all that sunshine
will have got these fish well and truly woken up and feeding. We've got 2 weeks in front of us, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I just got to get all myself set up, get my camp up, and have a look what we've got out in front. But it's looking good. There was a few fish out last week. There was a couple of locals fishing. I think there was the sort of point swim behind the reedy islands over there. There's a couple of guys in there. They had they only done a couple of nights and had 26 fish at the sort of 25 kilo, and there was only one other guy on. But yeah, it's looking really good. Really happy to be here. Got a bit of work to do now. Got the van parked up just behind me, and I'm going to start unloading and get my camp set up and start fishing this magnificent water. It's that cup of tea moment. Finally got the rods out now. Fishing it at about 140 meters, just shy of that. It's a little bumpy and lumpy out there, but relatively deep, 15-16 foot, some 13. But as you get out to about 138, we're using the boat. There's a little bit of a ridge that steps up to just over 9 foot. So I've sort of placed 3 baits along that ridge, which runs along right in front of me from right to left. It shallows up towards the middle there. Seen a few fish so far this evening, but yeah, just at that moment when it's all done, it's all set up and we're fishing. I think there's been one out already on the point over there. My mate Char, he's had his first one already. Haven't been fishing long either, so that's promising. But yeah, these are the good moments, aren't they? After the long journey. It was hot today as well, setting up. Actually got burnt on the face today. But yeah, it was hot. Setting everything up, but I've got it all done now, and happy to be fishing. Got an abundance of time, 2 weeks to go. Now, lots and lots of time to hopefully create some nice opportunities. Look at that. Just looks beautiful, doesn't it? I think I said on the end of my last video, there's something about this place that I like. I just really like it. Kettle's boiling now, so I'm going to go and make myself a brew, and yeah, we'll see how we get on. Just gone 7:30 in the morning now, and after that lovely warm day yesterday, we had a bit of frost this morning, and the forecast is for it to drop off a little bit over the next 3 or 4 days. Frosty mornings, I think as low as -4, but I'm not sure it'll have too much of an effect on it. It's been pretty warm down here for the last 3 weeks or so, with some really good temperatures, so I'm sure all the benefit from that warm sunshine shouldn't affect it too much. But a little bit of activity to begin with. I had a small carp first of all, probably about 20 pound, and a little while after that I had one of these hybrid things, and done a bream, and had another carp take. I think it was about literally 5 minutes, 15, maybe 10 minutes or so after he put that rod back out, but unfortunately that one come off. I've seen quite a few fish out in front of me, slightly left, but they were quite active this morning at first light, around 6:30, 6:15. There were quite a few showing out there, so I think I'm in the right area for now. I'm not sure if many have been out, but it's good to get off the mark. Gives me something to go at. And we've got Dave down to my left. I saw his boat go out at least once last night, twice. So there's a possibility he's had something. Quite fresh feeling at the minute. Well, I think the daytime temperatures aren't too bad. It certainly doesn't drop below sort of 11, 12 degrees. So it won't be too bad. Yeah. It's nice to be out again. I haven't fished since November last year. And we just keep plugging away like normal. See what we can get going. I'm going to have a cup of tea now and sort myself out for the morning. Okay, so we've not really fished 24 hours yet. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I started probably fishing at about 6 Sunday yesterday when we arrived. It really took me time setting up, and kept watching the water, give me an idea of where I should be looking at. I mean, I've only fished here once before, but I've not fished in this swim. So rather than sort of just put baits out, I thought I'd wait and see if I could see kind of what distance they were showing at or anything like that. Well, I saw a few signs as the evening started to close in, and basically that was my decision based on that. And I had a couple of I had the first one at 9 o'clock last night, 20 pounder, slipped that one back, and then I picked up a catfish, and then a bream, and then another small carp, mid-high double, and most of the rods were in sort of 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I nipped round to see my mate Phil and Jason on the other side. Quick chat with them, come back round and saw a couple of fish. I've been fishing 3 rods with boilies and picked up the 2 small carp on the boilies, but kind of felt by the amount I saw this morning and in the vicinity of where I was fishing, I perhaps should have caught a couple more. Similar story to last year, quick switch to tigers, and it's not been out there no more than about 45 minutes, and I've just had a nice common. Incredibly clean looking fish, absolute beauty. So yeah, a great start. This one is as I said, a common, and comes out at just over 52 pounds, so not 24 hours in. That'll do for a start, and it is a wonderful example of an immaculate common carp. He'll hold still. There's a little bit of milk coming out in the sling, so let's have a look at you. Yeah. What about that? Not a bad start at all, I don't think. Lovely fight out of it. I'm really pleased to get off the mark with a fish like that. That's lovely. That is lovely. We've got a much colder day today. Yesterday it was comfortably 23, 24 degrees. And today it's, well, it's not even half that, it's pretty cold. On the other side, in the teeth of the wind, it's actually very bitter. But the fish are moving and the fish are feeding. And that is a great start. Have a look at this side. Got a couple of misshaped scales in the middle of his body and down by the wrist. Here's a lovely carp. Check it out. There's plenty of that size in here, so I really don't know what's coming next. But that's magnificent. What a great start. Zipping back up, and it's time to get her back in. A little precarious here because it's pretty deep straight off. I'm going to be a little bit careful putting them back. There we go. Let's get one last look at you. There we go. What a wonderful creature. That'll do. Let's let her go. Let's let her go. Thank you. Magic. Oh, sticky down there. Monday evening now, just gone past 24 hours fishing. About this time yesterday I managed to get the rods out, and after a real sort of murky, cloudy day, the sun's come out. We've got a bit of broken sky, but it is due to cool off a bit. We had a slight frost this morning, and the forecast is for a bit colder tonight, so no doubt another frost. But it's been a good first 24 hours. I managed to catch 4 so far, which is nice. Nice to get off the mark. There's a few coming out. I think Dave just down to my left has had 4 as well, and Guy Pete on the other side over in 19, he's had 4 as well. And they were really active earlier on today, so I think probably a little shell shocked from all the activity that they've experienced since we've turned up. Everyone looking for their spots and that, and it's been relatively quiet on here. There was only 2 people on here last week, and they only fished a couple of days, so it's not surprising that the fish are kind of moved away from all the disturbance. But I'm pretty sure over the next few days they'll settle down as everybody starts to tune into it and find their marks. But yeah, been quite enjoyable to start with. It's nice to have a good length of time in front of you on these longer sessions. You know, you can really sort of take your time and try and get things figured out properly. And sort of home in on them as the days wear on. it looks nice, but it doesn't feel nice. It's absolutely freezing. We've kind of gone from mid-20s temperature on Sunday when we arrived. Setting up was really hot, pouring with sweat setting up, and over the sort of last 24 hours the temperature has dropped significantly. I mean, probably barely much above freezing at the minute. It's relatively early on Tuesday morning, and it's supposed to be quite cold now with this northerly wind on for the next couple of days or so. I had a quiet night last night, just had one indication, a bit of a drop back on the middle rod there, but it was nothing. Probably a liner or something like that. But there's been the odd one coming out still. My mate Oz is just put a mid-30 in the net, and I think there's been a couple of 40-pounders out. But yeah, it seemed very quiet last night. My mate Oz is fishing just over there in the centre of the picture, and he said he could hear them crashing in that bay down there last night, which is hardly surprising. It would appear that the fish have sort of split from the middle here and gone up on the back of the wind into that bay, and down on the other side of the point swim into the quieter water. But yeah, bitter cold. Surprising how much it's changed. But still early days. Rather it was warm. That was more pleasant, isn't it, when you're sat out in the sunshine? I mean, it looks nice, but yeah, I'm glad I'm not on the opposite bank anyway, because they must be absolutely froze to the bone over there. I mean, yesterday out in this sort of middle area, there seemed to be a hell of a lot of fish. They're just showing all over the place out in this central area, but we've been up since first light this morning and not seen anything at all out there. I mean, they, not saying they're not there. They could have just dropped down, and the top part of the water would have been chilled by this wind overnight, that's for sure. But as he said, there's still some fish coming out. I think I'm gonna bring my rods in a little bit and have a little drive round and speak to a few people, see what's going on. But yeah, so far there's 10 of us on here, and I think everybody's caught. And we're only 2 nights in, so that's pretty good. We'll settle for that at the minute anyway. My friend Char, who's fishing up on the main point up there, come round and see me earlier, and he said he had a low 30. I think it was in the night possibly, and fought like a big one. He really thought he had some special on, and took him 30-40 minutes to land it. So you never really know for sure until you get a look at them or they're in the net. There's the leader, quick glance, but yeah, it's a common one. Not a bad one. Oh, it's a mirror. Doesn't look too bad, this one. Come on. Nice and steady now. You can see the double tiger hanging out of his mouth. Ooh. It's nice and steady at this point. You don't want to rush anything. Just take your time. Yeah, I have been fishing 3 tigers and a little bit of plastic on the end, but I had a bit of what I thought was a bit of a drop take or something this morning, and I thought maybe it might have been a bit much having the 3 on there, so I dropped down to 2. Wow, that's nice, isn't it? Look at that. Cool. He's woke up a bit now. I think he's seen the net and didn't like the look of that. Come on. Yeah, that's a nice fish. Come on, a little bit more. Yes. Gotcha. That's not a bad one, I don't think. Oh yeah. That'll do. I'm guessing that's over 40 pounds. Lovely. That'll do nicely. Okay, Tuesday afternoon, and just had a couple of fish close together. Had a 24 pound common about an hour or so ago, and on the same rod. Everything's been on the same rod, and then rebaited, and about an hour after that just had this very handsome 46 pound leather, and it is a proper leather as well. There's not a scale on him anywhere, and yeah, that's a nice fish to catch. It's the biggest mirror I caught out of here so far. There's plenty of bigger ones. Oh, you got a bit of a crinkly tail, but lovely. That's nice for an afternoon catch. Got a road wrinkly head on it as well. Probably quite an old fish, I expect. But yeah, nice. I'll give him a quick spin round. Have a look at the other side. Nice steady fight from him as well. I had an idea it was a bit of a better one, and certainly than the last one anyway, but yeah, pleased to have a nice leather carp like that. That's nice. There's a much better start this year than last year. I think in the first 5 or 6 days of last year I'd only caught 3 or 4 carp, so I think that's my 7th carp now in the first couple of days, so happy with that. Slip this lovely leather carp back. We've got to be a little bit careful here, as I found out earlier on, it literally drops straight off down to there. It's like a straight drop, and it caught me out earlier on, but it does drop off even further, so I'm kind of just digging my feet into the mud that's down here so I don't slip any further off down the ledge. And there we go. That's a nice leather. Happy to catch that. Let's let him go. There you go. Beautiful. Thank you. Well, it's fastly approaching 5 o'clock in the afternoon now on Wednesday, and been a bit of a quieter day. I've had one take at about 2:30, and that fell off after a minute or so, which was disappointing. But just feels quieter today for some reason. It's been actually quite nice with the sun out. It was, I think I said already, frosty this morning, but it's hazy, but the sun come through nicely, and by sort of 11 o'clock it was warming up, and it's been quite pleasant. Been sort of sat outside in the sun and enjoying the warmth of the day, but don't know, just something in the air or whatever just felt quieter today, and yeah, just had the one chance. I think it's been a little quieter overall. There's still a couple of fish that came out overnight and this morning, but less, so a little quieter, and really no surprise that I've not had anything else since. I've sort of gone past the time where I was getting a couple of bites in the afternoon. I had the lost fish at 2:30 and was kind of half expectant of another. Normally around about an hour later I was getting a second chance, but today, yeah, that's not materialised. But never mind. We've still got another couple of nights of the cold weather, well, frosty nights down at -2, and from Friday onwards it does start to improve, and by Sunday I believe we're up to the sort of mid-teens, and 6-7 degrees overnight, a little bit of rain forecast. So hopefully that'll change our fortune. But there is still the odd fish getting caught. But most of the other guys on here are catching after dark and through to first light. But I've not had nothing at all in the hours of darkness, and my bites have been at middle of the afternoon time. I just think the weather needs to change up a bit. And maybe then we'll start getting a few more chances. But as I said, it's been lovely today. I've enjoyed sitting out in the sunshine, been very pleasant. It's not going to do it any harm anyway.
The lollipop kid, the lollipop kid, lollipop kid. We are lollipop kids.
Early on Thursday morning now, and boy was that cold last night. Proper heavy frost, freezing, still freezing now. But I've been up since 5 this morning. I had my first couple of bites in the hours of darkness, the mid 30 and a 38, both mirrors, at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock this morning. So it was although brutally cold, very nice to get a couple of night bites. Again, it's all off the same spot out there. I put a second rod into that area yesterday and had a bite on each of those rods, but really hard frost last night. You can see down there there's still plenty of it hanging about on the sling and the mat at Van out there, and the sun's just making an appearance behind. Can't wait for that to get up and warm things up, but it's looking clear today, so it looks like it could be a nice warm day, warm things up. But yeah, it's nice to get a couple of bites in the hours of darkness. My mate Oz has had a 42, I think, common this morning, and there was definitely a couple of other fish out, because when I was up we did see activity over there where Pete is, and down in the bay to the left down there, peg 24, I saw a bait boat going back out there as well. So there was, even though the conditions were brutal, and that's the best way to describe it, there's still a couple of fish coming out, but no big ones yet. I think with that warm temperature that was going on previous to our visit here, potentially it was proper warm as well, mid-20s. Potentially these fish were maybe starting to think about spawning. One of the fish I caught earlier on in the session on the Monday, when I got it on the mat, was passing a bit of milk out onto the sling, so suggesting that they weren't far away and were certainly thinking about it. But this cold snap would have probably halted proceedings. Yeah, none of the big ones have really made any kind of an appearance yet. I still think there's only been 3 or 4 50-pounders out. But we've got one more night of this cold weather, and then it starts warming up and up. And we're getting a bit of weather coming in as well, so hopefully no more frosts, and it'll get the fish moving around properly again. Oh, it's now Friday evening. It's been a very, very quiet last 36 hours. Still not that surprised. Based on the weather we've had, things have slowed down all around the lake. Last night was definitely the slowest night of all. Temperatures down to easily -3 or 4. It's very cold. But we've had a nice decent wind on today, quite a mild wind, and a very hot day. And the temperature overnight is going to be sort of 8 to 10 degrees warmer than it has been, and perhaps as a consequence of the milder weather, about 2/3 the way over and further, I've seen, and in fact the odd one this side, I've seen more fish showing tonight than I've seen since we arrived here on Sunday. I mean, there were a lot of fish showing on Sunday, but there was no lines in the water, no one was fishing, so that's not surprising either. And you know, going through Monday up till last night and this morning, we had this significant cold snap, certainly the coldest it's been down here for a couple of weeks, looking at the weather leading up to this trip. So it definitely put the fish on the back foot. But that's a promising set of signs tonight. I've probably seen easy 20 plus fish shows in the last sort of hour and a quarter. Only a couple this side of the lake, but sort of straight out in front of me on the other side. Some distance off the bank from the other side, but yeah, a lot of fish showing over there, so it's really encouraging that finally we're seeing some movement from the carp, because it has been pretty much silent. As I said, last night was easily the slowest of the days and nights it had been on the lake so far in our trip. Just a handful of carp caught. So maybe you know, with the milder overnight weather and better weather coming in over the next few days, we should see things start to pick up. Well, I've got some chicken kebab sizzling in the pan, and a nice bit of coleslaw to go with that. My belly's rumbling. Hopefully we can get some fish action. That would be very nice. Well, it's now early Saturday afternoon, about 2 o'clock, and I've had a pretty quiet 48 hours. Just had the one bite, which unfortunately I lost, but we finally got rid of that cold weather, and it's very pleasant. It was very hot yesterday, the sun was out fully, and brought the temperature up, and very mild overnight. And although there were quite a lot of fish moving, which I hadn't seen since the day we got here on the Sunday, I saw many shows across the lake, out in front, across the other side, to the left and right. The fish were very active, but apart from a chap on the other side, it was business as usual. It was just the odd one or two coming out to us all, and it was good to see them active though. But yeah, it didn't sort of, I mean, I think it went so cold, it's probably going to take a day or two for this heat that we got now to take full effect. But they were active last night, and certainly the amount of shows I've seen, you know, compared to the last sort of 4 or 5 nights, yeah, it was more, I've seen more last night and through the night, because I was up pretty late watching them, than I had on the previous 4 or 5 nights all together. So it's definitely taking an effect on them, but they didn't really get down on the bait. There was a guy on the other side, had a couple of 50-pounders and a 40, I think, as well. There was a 50-pounder out, Char had a 50-pounder out down on the point swim, and then there was just the odd one out to the other guys. But seeing them active like that, you sort of feel it's only a matter of time before they'll switch on. We've got no more cold weather now coming till the end of our trip. In fact, it just gets hotter, and forecast for early part of next week is up to sort of 20, 21 degrees. So I think it's going to be maybe another day or two for the carp to get the full benefit of this warming weather, and I'd like to think that things will start to happen then. But it's a lot more pleasant sitting outside now, and last night was really mild compared to what we'd had. It was still sat in a t-shirt at sort of 10:30 last night. So yeah, I think the next day or two we should start to see some improved results around the lake. At last, as they say. Well, I was just doing my little sort of daily diary. Just about got to the point where I said it's the 3rd quiet night, apart from a bream last night at midnight off the baited area. I was sort of beginning to think that perhaps, having caught off of it earlier in the trip, perhaps you know, they were sort of starting to show off the bait a little bit, so I've done no more than put a small trap to the side of the baited area. And literally, I was just speaking about last night's uneventful time. I got a bite, and cracking fish, lovely. Yeah, just put a small bit of bait out the side, and it's a bit of a strange time as well, because I haven't had a bite in the morning, but that is a wonderful looking carp. It's over 46 pounds, but that's a cracker. After 3 quiet nights, days and nights, you know, you sort of start to think, ooh, what's going on? But a bit of perseverance and a slight change of tactics, and here we are. Beautiful fish. Very happy with that. Nice and clean too. Wow. You can't be too disappointed with a carp like that after a 3-day wait. Feels pretty good. We'll have a quick look at the other side. Look at that scaling on there. That is wonderful. Yeah, after 3 quiet nights. It's not fishing particularly well, based on what I've seen here before, but you know, fish are getting caught steady. There was Dave just up a couple of swims up from me, had another 66 pound common yesterday, and dotted around the lake. You know, most people are catching one to 3 fish of a night time, but it had gone very quiet in front of me for some strange reason, and yeah, I was starting to sort of wonder what I had to do to get a bite, but this more than makes up for it, because it's a very pretty fish. Lovely scaling on it. Beautiful. That will do, wouldn't it? Well, if it is quiet and pick the odd fish up like this, and that's not going to be too disappointing, is it? That's a cracker. So I think we'll get this one back now, and get a rod back off the side of the baited area, and hopefully get another chance. But for now, I'm pretty happy. Let's get this one back. There's a dodgy bit down here. You do go right the way down. Well, yeah, that just drops right off there, so you've got to be a bit careful. But let's let this wonderful creature go. There we go. Look at that. That'll do. That will do. Let's let it go. Magic. Love a bit of that. Number back out there. Well, running truly into our second week now. It's Monday dinner time, and we had an unexpected frost again last night. Quite a hard one as well, which was a bit of a surprise because it wasn't forecast to drop that low, but frosty it was, and it stayed pretty quiet all through the night. I did manage a fish this morning about 10:30, again off the side of the baited area, fish of about 33 pounds, something like that. But yeah, the night before last, it definitely seemed to be picking up around the lake. There was definitely a couple of more fish caught than normal, or than it had been on the previous nights, and it was looking good. But it seems possibly that frost has just knocked it back a little again. We've still got plenty of time left, and according to the weather forecast from now on in, we are looking at ever increasing warm weather. So with a few days of this very warm sunshine on the water, we should hopefully start to see the benefit of that towards the latter part of our trip here. But under the circumstances, still getting the odd fish. They're not really, or have not really been in this area much throughout my stay, but still picking odd fish up, so that's not too bad. And a place like this, you know, the next bite could be something very special indeed, so and just stay optimistic and keep going through the motions, and with a bit of luck we'll catch a few more fish before we have to depart. But it's only just barely halfway through yet, and you know, it's very nice to be sat here, I gotta say. A good bunch of lads on here this time, and yeah, it's a really good trip. Got a nice barbecue tomorrow. We're all gonna have a get together. I'm sure that'll be good fun. But as it is, slow fishing, but rather be here than working, that's for sure. It's Tuesday morning now, just gone 8 o'clock. Sun's starting to come up now and spread a bit of warmth. It was another frost again last night, and went absolutely flat calm. But it was a better night, strangely enough. I had 4 carp through the night, nothing big, a couple of mid-20s and a low 30 and an upper 30. But nice to have that after quite a couple of days. I'd sort of come away from the area that I'd been baiting, literally just a few yards past it, beyond it, and put a bait or two to the left of it, but you know, probably about 10 yards to the left, and yeah, picked up 4 bites. It's bizarre really, because I'm not far away from the baited area at all, but literally went down to small, very small amounts of bait, 20 boilies, around about 40 tiger nuts, and a very small handful of sweet corn, and clearly that's all they're after at the minute. There was some other fish out last night, a couple of 40s and some others dotted around again, but to my surprise really, because it dropped off really cold again in the evening. But yeah, happy to get a bit of activity. It was quite enjoyable. It was sort of spread out through the night, 10 o'clock, 12, 30, 3 something, and 5, 5:15, something like that. But nice to have a bit of action, albeit not the most social at times, but when it's been quiet, I'll take it any time. We are due now, the forecast is changing all the time, and it's now forecast coming in tomorrow and for the rest of our stay up till Sunday, rain, which I wouldn't be too disappointed about. And we had one day of rain earlier on in the first week, and it actually fished quite well. There was a few fish coming out, so I don't think it could do it any harm anyway. I mean, obviously the pressure will drop for sure, but the way they change the forecast, I'm I'm not necessarily going to believe it until I see it, but yeah, for now, spirits are up. I'll see if we can press repeat for tonight. Wow, there we go. That was a little while coming. I've been getting a reasonable amount of action, but literally trying to wade through the 30 pounders to get to something a bit better. And yeah, probably for the last week, apart from the odd 20 pounder, I've just been catching 30s, between probably 33 and 38 pound, and just felt like I couldn't get through to the better fish. But we've had a complete change of conditions today, and some nice rain, low pressures come in, and still fishing the same spots, but finally just about broke the 40 pound barrier. Oh, this very fresh, clean looking 41 pound mirror. Now that's a nice clean fish, isn't it? Whee. Yeah, calm down. But yeah, nice clean fish to catch. I know it's not a big fish for this place, but when you've been catching 30 pounders for about a week, it's nice to break free into the 40 pound barrier. And this is a fine example of a 40 pound mirror carp, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll have a quick spy on the other side. And then some lovely little scales just down there. Quick look on the other side, and then we'll slip her back. I'd only just done the rods for the evening. As well, and it's certainly been out no more than about 15 minutes. And yeah. There we go, look at him. That'll do, won't it? But yeah, after not really catching anything in the day and sort of at night and social hours, getting up for 30 pounders, it was becoming a little difficult, but perseverance has paid off, and I got this nice one. I've got her back now, and maybe that's a sign there's some better fish out in the swim. Let's put him back. Well, it's Thursday afternoon now, and as you can probably tell, the weather's changed significantly again. Very overcast, cloudy. We had a lot of rain today, especially through the morning period, and this is set to continue now, I think, more or less to the end of our trip. But fish didn't seem to have bothered the fish too much. They've been nice and active. I didn't have anything overnight, which was a little bit of a surprise, because I'd had a few bites from an area on the previous 2 nights, but it was super quiet. Didn't even have a single beep. And fish through this morning, and there were fish showing out in front of me, but for whatever reason they weren't picking anything up and sort of moved on past. And around 3 o'clock I thought I'd freshen the rods up and redo everything ready for the oncoming night. And the left hand rod there had only been out for probably 15 minutes after dropping it off with a boat, and I was away, and finally got past the 30 pounders, only just, but a nice healthy looking 41 pound mirror. So it was nice to get something other than a 30 pounder, because I've had a lot of them. Yeah, the conditions are good carpy conditions now, favourable. So I've a little bit more optimism in me than I did this morning. I think this cloud's going to stay with us all through the night, and it's supposed to rain on and off all through the night till the early hours of the morning. But yeah, hopeful of some more chances in these conditions. I've seen a bit of everything this week, weather-wise. But they were really active this morning, showing all over the lake. There wasn't a tremendous amount caught. It's the same sort of story throughout, really. A couple of fish, 2 or 3 fish a swim. And that's kind of been the story of the trip so far, really. But yeah, 3 more nights. Anything can happen. You know what carp fishing is like. Well, the conditions aren't great, but the fish seem to be feeding, and I think finally we've got a couple of better ones in the area. I had that 41 pound mirror earlier on, and I've just had this lovely, get him up, 53 pound common. Look at that. That's a bit more like it. I don't mind the rain too much when you can get a nice fish like this. You can get him. Right, let's put him down because he's a bit flappy. And spin him round. It's only just gone 9:30 in the evening. And yeah, this rain doesn't seem to have done him any harm at all. In fact, when I had this fish, I saw a few other lights on round the lake. So they clearly don't mind it, and if they don't, neither do I. Yeah, this rain don't seem to have put the fish off. It's been, as I said, raining hard now for a good few hours, and it's set for the night as well. But you don't mind getting wet for a creature like that. Look at him. What a beauty. Very happy. Caught off the side of that baited area again. Still haven't caught nothing off of that, but they're definitely investigating it, but getting all the bites from the side. Anyway, I'm getting wet enough. It's a lovely fish and I'm very happy. Let's put this one back. Oh, here we are, Friday tea time, coming into the penultimate night of our trip down here, and yeah, things have started to pick up a little bit. I've just put another low 30 back, and sort of getting some steady-ish bites now. Completely moved away from the baited area, which is kind of straight out in front of this swim, and kind of come to the left and staggered the rods about 20 yards apart on a sort of clay on the end of a I call it a bar, but an area right there, and it drops off from 8-9 foot down to 10 foot, 10 foot 2, 10 foot 5, and I've just got them sort of just up the edge of that clay bar, if you like, and yeah, getting some steady bites off of it now. I think I must have had 7 bites since yesterday afternoon. I mean, the conditions have been a lot more favourable anyway, and we're going to get a bit more rain later on, but it's yeah, it's definitely seems to be improving. Not seeing a tremendous amount of fish show, but clearly they're out there, and still fishing for a bite tactics. Just a small amount of bait, enough to just arouse their interest, and that seems to be the winning method, and pretty much everybody around the lake is fishing exactly the same way. And yeah, I mean, it does make for a possible exciting last couple of nights, but you know, carp fishing, it can change just like that. When you think you got it right and you got it going, but yeah, really enjoyed it again. Really like it here. It's a fantastic lake. It's beautiful. And all being well, we'll be back here again this time, well, a week later I believe, next year. It's a long old drive, but when you come and fish somewhere like this, I think it's more than worth it. I've absolutely loved every minute of the couple of visits I've had here. And as always, you get towards the end of your session, and well, I do anyway, feel like I could stay here a bit longer. But yeah, feeling probably the most confident I have since I started. I really feel like the area I'm fishing is an area that the fish are visiting, moving through, or whatever it is they're doing. But yeah, I'm confident of another chance or two. It'd be really nice to get a decent mirror out of here, just to cap things off. But I'm just happy catching, to be honest. As I said before, I've had a hell of a lot of 30-pounders, and it just seems like for one reason or another the big fish have not really been feeding, or in one way or another eluded most of us. There you go. Keep going. Plenty of time left yet. Tight over to the left hand side is go under them and bring the fish round into the open part of the swim for landing. It's a little bit easier. It's about 6 o'clock now in the evening. There's just plenty of light to get it back out. It's not the easiest thing when you're fishing at that kind of range with a boat and they're relatively close together. They come in relatively easy, but you generally get a good go when you get them near the bank. And you can make a guesstimation on what you've got on the end, and you know, more often than not you can tell by the way it's fighting and how it feels, but you never really know for sure until you see it. Yeah, I've had some 30 pounders that you would have swore if you'd have lost it you'd had a big one on the end, and I've had some fish this week that this fortnight that feel like 20 pounders and have been over 40 pounds, so still not quite sure. I've had a glimpse of him then. Yeah, I think that might be another 20 pounder. But they're all welcome in my net. I think on a place like this, if you can keep up with the bite, keep getting the bites, you do get a chance at the better ones. Oh, there he is. Oh, so come on. It's not a bad one, I think. It's not a bad one. It's a bit bigger than what I thought. Great fights out of them when they wake up in the springtime. They're just so full of beans. He's a nice fish. Definitely a 30 pounder. So I caught a lot of 30 pounders this trip. There he comes, nice and steady. Yeah, there we go. It's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. Down there. Yeah. You'll do. You'll do. Alright. Yeah, it just goes to show you what I was saying on the bit of GoPro footage that you never know what you've got on the end, and what I thought was a 20 pounder all the way in turned out to be twice the size of that, and it's a beautiful pinky sort of salmon colour to this fish. It's lovely, and look at that. Turn the scales round. Oop. Come on, let's have a quick look at you. finished yet. Yep, turn the scales round to a lovely £43. But look at the colour of it. Really pinky. What a beauty. Yeah, getting a few bites now. I think that's I think yesterday tea time, bite 8 or 9. I had 3 or 4 40-pounders and a 50-pounder as well, so it looks like they're really switching on now, and we still got a couple of nights left, and I'm fairly confident there'll be some more chances on some cracking fish like this. We'll have a quick look at the other side and then we'll get him back. There we go. Here's lovely. Oh, he's got even more colour on this side than the other. Quite unusual, really. You're a slippery one to get hold of. But yeah, look at that. That's nice, isn't it? What lovely colours. God, I could catch these sort of fish all day long, couldn't you? They're wonderful. It's turning into a good old session. These last couple of days have really picked up, and yeah, 2 more nights to go, and it seems like the spot I've got out there is picking up nicely. Right, let's get this one back. It's a little precarious down here because it literally drops off. Be very careful, make sure you get your foot planted. But yeah, it drops off to about 3.5, 4 foot straight down, so you've got to be a little bit careful. But yeah, this fish is ready to go back now, I think. And this is a wonderful, wonderful evening. What a pleasure to be on such a fantastic venue, catching lovely carp like that. Look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful colours. Anyway, time for him to go back. Nice. There he goes. Fantastic. Love it. Right. Yeah, so just had 2 on it once. It's basically just about 9 o'clock in the evening, and I had to take playing that fishing, got it in relatively close, and then as I was dealing with that, my middle rod went off, and so what I've done was, I've been in that situation before, there's nothing down here to worry about, so I just tightened up the clutch a bit so it could barely take line, and sort of jammed it down against one of the posts on the front of the swim, and dealt with the second fish. Basically, as I come off of the clay bar where I'm fishing, it comes down into 18-20 foot of water, and so I gained enough line on the second fish so that I knew it was in the deeper water, and then done the same thing, opened up the clutch relatively tight so we could barely take line, and let it swim around in that deep water, and came back and dealt with the first one. That was a 26 pound, 27 pound common, so I quickly returned that and come back and dealt with this one, which is another 43 pound common, and it's a very fine example. It's absolutely lovely fish, a very long one as well. But let's get him up and have a look at him. Look at that, that's a cracker. Great old fight out of this as well. Yeah, that's a lovely fish, really happy with that. That night's still young, and it's really picking up the action, so I've got the baits back out already, so I'm fairly confident that there may be some more chances tonight. But we'll have a quick spin round on this lovely long common and get him back, or her, whichever the case may be. But yeah, let's get over those straps. There we go, that's better. Yeah, it's turned into a great day now. I'm certainly into well, since the last 24 hours, I'm certainly into double figures on the bites now, and by far my most productive 24-hour period. And yeah, I'm really starting to enjoy it. Albeit towards the end of the session, but it doesn't matter when they come, does it? Not when they look like that. That's a beauty. Right, I think that'll do. We'll get her back and go and have a nice cup of tea. I think we've earned it after that. Lovely. Oh, that moment's arrived. It's the last day. It's turned midday now, and so I've been busy this morning getting the rest of my stuff packed up. And yeah, I always feel a little sad to go. We've had such a good week. It's been great company with everybody. Had a real good laugh, and everyone's caught some fish, which is nice. And yeah, probably my best sort of afternoon and evening of the trip so far. I think it's seven or eight bites, and a couple of, I think 3 or 4 40-pounders, a couple of 43-pound commons, and yeah, a nice way to round up proceedings. But we've got one more night. It seems like the bite times are changing all the while. Mine now seems to be afternoon and evening, so I'm just off around to get rid of some rubbish and collect some of my mate Oz's gear, ready for an early depart in the morning, and then get the rods out for one final go. See if we can winkle another 1 or 2 out. But I caught more than I did last time overall, and yeah, it's been a great week. Oh, just like yesterday, almost the same time, I got to take on the right hand rod, and certainly felt like a better one on the fight on the way in. This one got him relatively close to the netting, and then my left hand rod shot off. I thought this felt like a good fish. I mean, thought like a big one all the way in. It's 42.5 pound, but it's a mirror, which is nice because I've been catching mainly commons, and the better fish that I've caught are all commons. So it's nice to get a mirror carp over 40 pound, and yeah, again, a lovely, clean example of what you can catch in here. Lovely. I think I'll just put him down. He's gonna flap for a bit. But yeah, I've got the other one resting in the net there. It's a similar size by the looks of it, maybe not quite as big, but yeah, similar size I'd guess. Maybe a big 30, something like that. Let's try again with this one. We can get him back quite quick. And yeah, there you go. That's beautiful, isn't it? A real clean, hard fighting Sumbar carp. Last day as well, so it's nice to get a good one on the last day. And yeah, almost a mirror image of what happened yesterday. Right, quick look at the other side. I want to get this other fish dealt with and get those rods back on the spot. I still feel like there may be a couple of more chances left before I finally got a reel in. I'm going to be away early tomorrow. So I'm going to be reeling in probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest. Oh, he's splashing down in the net there. I've got him secured over a post, so he'll be alright. We'll be with you in a minute. Right, so we'll have one more quick look at this side before we slip her back, and then we can have a look at that other one. See what we've got there. But yeah, There's some clean looking carp in here. Lovely. That'll do, won't it? Last day action. Wonderful. Right, let's get this one back. Well, there's the other half of that double take. It's not quite as big, it's a mid-30. A plump little devil. But again, beautiful scaling. And a pleasure to catch carp like this. Like I said, I've had a lot of commons. So, lively. Yeah, I had a lot of commons. So it's nice to just get a couple of pretty mirrors like that. Ah, do, isn't it? Get him. Yeah, lovely. Right, a couple of rods to get back out. Still got about a dozen hours to go, so I'm hopeful of another chance. Let's see if we can catch one of your bigger brothers. Right, back you go. Right, so this is the fourth bite in the last couple of hours. I had another 30-pound common, and I've just had another bite pretty much straight after that, putting it back out within 10 minutes. And had another 40-pound mirror. This one's just over 41. But yeah, I guess these fish are the stock fish that was put in a couple of years back, and growing up nicely for the future. I know it's not a big carp by this lake standards, but it's a big carp to me. And I catch these things all day long. You get a good fight out of them. I think any 40-pound carp looks impressive, especially one like that. Well, I'm not going to hang about too long with this one. I'll just have a look at that side and get this one back. It's starting to get dark now, and I haven't had nothing to eat for a while or anything, so I've got to get myself sorted out. But yeah, it's been a good afternoon, good last afternoon, really enjoyed it. A couple of cracking 40-pounders, and who knows, there might be some better to come yet, because they're certainly in here, but we'll keep trying. Anyway, that'll do. Let's get this one back where he belongs. Well, it's the final evening of the last night of our trip to Sumbar, and as you can see, it's raining, so it looks like it's going to be a bit of a wet pack up. I think this rain's in now for the next 4 or 5 hours, but it's not been a bad last afternoon. I've had 4 bites this afternoon, and I'm pretty much all packed up now, apart from my bed, a few bits and something to make a cup of tea with in the morning, and then we're going to be leaving pretty early. I want to get off the lake 8 o'clock-ish, something like that in the morning. But yeah, it's been a really good trip. I caught plenty of carp. I think I'm up around 40 carp now, something like that. Never got to see none of the big fish grace my net this time, but a couple of 50-pounders and a lot of 40-pounders I've had, so it's been some great action. I'm still fishing, so you never know what can happen on these trips. We've still got a good few hours left to go, but yeah, it's been fantastic. Great company. Had great fun with the lads here this week, and everybody's caught. There's been quite a lot of fish out, in fact, and it's been very good. I think everyone's had a really good time, but I'm going to cook myself a bit of tea now, and probably get in the bag early so I can get a good night's sleep. And be up nice and early in the morning, ready to get away. But yeah, what a great place this is. And I'll be back here next April for another go. Only got a couple of months to wait now, and then my next trip's off to France. Back to a lake I fished a few times. Well, that's in the summer, so hopefully not so much of this rain But anyway, what a lovely trip, what a good time.